Welcome back to the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. This is another weekly edition of our AEW Weekly Review Show, as we've come to call it the AEW Dynamite Review. And this is obviously for May 12th, depending on when you're listening to this, but it's May 12th for us, so that's the show we're going to be talking about, headlined by a few title matches, notably Jon Moxley defending the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship match for the first time outside of New Japan Pro Wrestling against Yuji Nagata, the Young Bucks defending the AEW World Tag Titles against SCU, and in the main event, Darby Allin defending the AEW TNT Championship against Miro. And we'll get into all of that as we go, but for now, introductions. Our hosts are here, and I'll start. I'm still the Deep Six Predictions champion. Heading into Double or Nothing at the end of the month, I'm Pat.
And I'm back, and I'm Joey.
And we are joined by one half of Ryan and Angela's Impact Power Hour tonight.
I'm Ryan.
Yeah, the forbidden door is kicked down on the podcast.
We've been kicking down our own doors for months.
Facts.
We've been kicking them down and then relocking them. But yeah, Ryan's here. Ryan wanted to join us because huge Yuji Nagata was on the show, and Ryan is a self-proclaimed big fan of Blue Justice.
Although, he likes to call him his Japanese daddy.
Yeah, his Japanese Blue Daddy.
Yeah, the Blue Daddy himself.
Blue Daddy.
But yeah, I have to say that I was proven to be a fake fan today.
Do you want to explain why?
I mean, we can get into it on the podcast, but I didn't know that just from what we've watched of New Japan with him, I'd never seen him roll his eyes back to the back of his head like he did tonight, and I was like, oh, I've never seen him do that. And Pat was like, oh, you should. They've been hyping that up in the hype packages for this, and I was like, I haven't watched any of the hype packages. And so Pat called me a fake fan.
Yeah. Are you sure? I feel like he probably did it during his feud with Suzuki last summer.
I don't remember him doing it.
It's not like it's a new thing that he does.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what the show is going to be talking about tonight. So let's
just that match.
Yeah, just that match. We're doing a one-match show tonight. WrestleMania Backlash is this weekend. I don't think we're going to have a review for it because it's WrestleMania Backlash. We will have a review for Double or Nothing at the end of the month, most likely. And Under Siege, Ryan, are you and Angelo reviewing that? When's that?
That is this weekend.
Oh, shit, okay. I did not know it was that soon.
Oh, boy.
So I don't know if we will. We'll probably discuss that tomorrow to see what he is available for.
Okay. Well, at the very least, Ryan and Angelo's Impact Power Hour will happen tomorrow on Thursday as usual. And if there's no Under Siege coverage, I'm sure you guys will talk about it next week.
Yeah, it's an Impact Plus show. There really isn't any match on there as of right now that I'm like, man, this is going to be huge, groundbreaking stuff. The only big thing, there's the 6-man match to determine who is the number one contender for Kenny's belt. There's going to be a women's match, an X Divisions match for their titles, the women's tag title match, but nothing is, like I said, nothing groundbreaking. At least me and Angelo do not see Deanna's reign ending. I don't see Josh Alexander's reign ending that quickly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, regardless, be sure to tune in tomorrow for the regular scheduled Impact Power Hour. You can also head to our YouTube channel to check out some of the content we've put out over there. Joey, most recently, was starting to take care of his punishment from... What show was it? It was Rebellion. For Impact. He is he's watching for the first time some wonderful matches from the history of TNA. He started it off with a 6-woman match. It was Charmel and the Beautiful People versus ODB Roxy. Right? Roxy is her name?
Yeah, Roxy.
And Taylor Wilde. So you can check that out on YouTube, and we've also been putting up our podcast episodes on YouTube as well. So if you're listening to the podcast now and you want to start listening to it on YouTube, you can also now do that. So be sure to go subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Plus, whatever, not Google Plus, Google Play, whatever it is. So plenty of options, and you can also follow us over on Twitter too. So
yeah, and be sure to look out for more of those TNA reviews.
Yeah, you did just record another one.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everybody what it is?
Oh yeah, it's Jenna versus Charmel.
It is one of the most infamous matches in TNA history.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, you'll see. You'll see my review.
So yeah, look forward to that probably getting uploaded this weekend or sometime early next week on our YouTube channel.
Let's just say that's 10 minutes of my life I could never get back.
Well, hey man, you got a 10-minute match there, but you've got an even longer one for your finale.
Oh boy.
Joey, did you take a chance to look at what Ryan chose for you?
Oh yes, I did.
Good. I know that you're gonna love it. All right,
I'm sure I will.
Let's dive on into AEW Dynamite from tonight. The show opened with Moxley versus Nagata. We got Nagata coming out from the back, basically getting like a Goldberg-style entrance with Ren Narita from the LA Dojo. So that was pretty cool to see him being the second for Yuji Nagata. Yuji comes out to a great ovation from the crowd, which you love to see. I felt like the entrances really made this match feel more special.
Mm-hmm.
And that continued as Jon Moxley made his entrance, to the little surprise that he did not come out to his usual AEW theme, nor did he come out to his New Japan theme. He came out to Wild Thing, a nice tribute to Onita. This instantly got a reaction from the crowd, and it just made Moxley feel like an even bigger star than he is. Came out with Eddie Kingston and the U.S. title through the side entrance, and made his way down. And yeah, I thought that this was a great start to this whole thing. The presentation just made it feel elevated in a way. I really do hope that I like Moxley's AEW theme, but Wild Thing, him getting to keep Wild Thing, even if it's just for like special matches, that'd be dope.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
As for the match itself, this is kind of what you would expect between these two. They announced that it was going to be held under New Japan rules, so 60-minute time limit, and they were going to do the 20-second countouts on the outside. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, this was just kind of a New Japan-styled match. It was very aggressive, very hard-hitting. I thought Nagata, they really kept putting over how Nagata's like an older guy, but he's in like really good shape for himself. Ryan noted that commentary at one point said that Yuji Nagata wants to wrestle until he's 70. Which, to put that into perspective, Yuji Nagata is 53. Yeah, there you go. He just turned 53 in April, so that would mean you're still getting quite a bit of time with good old Yuji.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought Yuji looked really good here for, the first... When was his last big match? Was it was probably last summer, right?
Yeah, it's singles match at least, yeah.
Yeah, with Suzuki.
Last big.
Yeah, it's probably a tournament match, right?
No, I was like on the Summer Struggle Tour when he was doing the stuff with Suzuki.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, he wasn't
in the G1 or anything. So.
He was in the New Japan Cup, but didn't he? I think he lost first round? I don't remember.
I don't remember either, dude. So much has happened since then. Anyway, regardless, it was really cool to see Nagata here. This is just straight up, like, for anybody who's still continued to doubt the working relationship between AEW and New Japan, this was a New Japan title being defended on AEW TV between AEW wrestler Jon Moxley and New Japan wrestler Yuji Nagata, where it was very, very apparent that this was a New Japan thing. So I love this. I thought they had some great chemistry. Moxley got busted open towards the end of the match, and so you got a little bit of blood there. And he eventually put him down with what I think... they called it a paradigm shift, but it looked more like the Death Rider variation that he uses in New Japan to finish off Yuji Nagata for the win.
Yeah, I thought was interesting that that commentary was putting over who Nagata trained, saying that he was responsible for the training of Okada, Tanahashi. I didn't know that. I don't know if they're just like saying that he was like an actual big name when they were like in the their young lion phase, and that they had matches against them. But like I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I also thought it was really cool, the show of respect at the end between the two, and also the commentary pointing out that Moxley has made sure to tell everybody that it is basically an open challenge system now. He is challenging anybody from New Japan to come for the title. So interesting to see who steps up next. And if it's going to be on Strong or if it's going to keep on coming up on AEW Dynamite, which is cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think if he's saying, like, if he's like offering the open challenge and he's saying to step right up, I just don't see Moxley going to Japan. Especially the closer we get to Renee's due date. So any match I think going forward, like you said, is going to be on Strong or Dynamite. So that's really awesome to see. Like I would see more New Japan wrestlers on Dynamite would be awesome. But yeah, I agree. This match was a really good, way to kick things off. It really showed, the New Japan Strong style. Like you could really tell it was like a New Japan match. It had something different than what we usually see on Dynamite. So it was a nice little touch. Also, I don't think, who was it? Was it Shivani that said that the lariat? So I had to look it up, but he said that he beat Suzuki with the lariat. So
I think it was Excalibur.
It was Excalibur. Okay, so he wasn't totally wrong, but he was kind of wrong. So I looked it up, and he hit him with the lariat and then hit him with the Death Rider to finish him.
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
yeah, because I was like, no.
They wouldn't have hyped up, because they hyped that match up for a while that they wanted to do that.
Right.
And that would have been a very lame ending to that match, would just be winning off of a clothesline.
Yeah.
This isn't Kojima, man.
Yeah.
Facts.
After the match, what's his face? Narita and Kingston both come in with ice cold water bottles to cool down both guys. Nice little nod there. It's a New Japan style with the ice packs, and then we get the little show of respect from Nagata and Moxley as they bow, and then they put their heads together with a headbutt. And really nice stuff. I was very satisfied with this. I'd be very okay if Nagata makes another appearance or two. Don't really know what he would do, but why not? He's an older guy. Doesn't really need to be traveling back and forth between Japan and the U.S. I'm also, again, as Ryan said, I'm very interested to see who and where we get the next U.S. title defense with. I think it's interesting that obviously we got the U.S. the Kenta and Moxley match on Strong, and then they decided to do this on Dynamite. And that definitely, obviously, that's a New Japan decision to put this title match on and to have Nagata go. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested in if they just think that more eyes are going to be on it if they do it on Dynamite, and that in turn makes more sense, or what, or if it's just a one-off. But I wouldn't be shocked if they do another one eventually.
I feel like that's 100% has to be the case.
Yeah, I would probably lean towards that direction too. It just makes a little more sense to me that way, because I don't know how many people are watching New Japan Strong even with a big match like that.
Right.
I am going to stick to my guns here, and I will be predicting that the person who will take the title off of Moxley is Hiroshi Tanahashi. I think he will be the one to be the next U.S. champion. Yeah,
and then maybe we'll see Tanahashi on Dynamite.
Oh, man, I feel like...
That would be huge.
If you're doing the match... Okay, so if Tanahashi is going to do it, you can have Tanahashi on Dynamite. They should 100% save that match for a pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Put it on All Out, baby.
Still put him on Dynamite, though, I feel like.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You can do what you did with Kenta, have him show up and do like a match or two.
Right.
Anyway, moving on.
I think it really is going to have to depend on the whole New Japan system and what goes on. It would make sense for him to be him to be over in America for that, solely because that would be like as of right now, the Olympics are going to be in Japan in August, so it would make sense because I'm assuming New Japan's not going to have access to a lot of the arenas, which was their plan last year, was that they weren't going to have it before COVID, and why they moved the G1 to the fall tentatively, and then COVID happened, and it just happened in the fall anyway. But yeah, it would make sense to have Tanahashi come to America during that time, just so they have a presence doing something.
Yeah, that's probably fair. All right. Anything else you want to say about the opening match?
No.
Joey,
No.
anything else? Okay. If you guys were going to pick somebody other than Tanahashi to come in and challenge for the title, who would you pick?
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, okay. Other than Tanahashi, I would be totally down for Finn Juice, because they're in America already. Makes sense. Have David Finlay go for it after his big singles run in the New Japan Cup, Juice. I mean, he's already had his runs at the title and a title reign and a few matches with Moxley, so they've got good chemistry. So I'd be totally fine with that too.
Give me Moxley versus Kojima.
I'd be fine with that too.
That would be good stuff.
Okay, yeah, I can get down with either of those.
Or even Suzuki again. Have Suzuki come to Dynamite.
Dude, if Suzuki came to Dynamite, I would lose my mind.
Just put him in a death match.
No, just have a full-on Suzuki-gun invasion.
Fact.
I don't think they're gonna upend and bring a whole faction over.
Hey man, like I said, July and August are coming, and they're not gonna have things going on there.
We'll see. We'll see. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Anyway, moving on, we get a backstage promo with Ortiz, Sammy, and Hager with the Sweat God himself. I haven't called him that in weeks, maybe even months. But Alex Marvez is there, and we're heading into the summer months in Florida, so that man's gonna be fucking drenched. Ortiz, Sammy, and Hager are there basically talking about Blood and Guts last week, and they say that MJF stole the match from them, and he showed his true colors when he threw Jericho off after they surrendered. They also mentioned that MJF specifically got Santana arrested for stabbing him in the face with a fork, and they say that they want another match, and that their war together will never be over as long as they're in the same company, and yeah. So this was a big setup for the coronation of the Pinnacle that was happening later on. After this, we got Cody Rhodes. And the longer I've sat with this, the more I've soured on it. Cody comes out and cuts a promo. And this was something. This was Cody being the most patriotic person I've since Mr. America in wrestling. Talking about how America is... Everybody knows that there's anger in America, but our empathy outweighs our anger. And Anthony Ogogo has spent the last few weeks or something running down and verbally burying the United States.
Which I guess that's been on Dark or something, because I don't remember.
Recall. I mean, I sometimes watch Dark, and I don't recall Anthony Ogogo.
Yeah, I don't get those vibes from him. He just literally carries the British flag with him.
He's also in a faction with several American men.
Right.
Who are his friends. So unless they're all turncoats and they're joining the UK military, then I don't know what to say. But QT Marshall screams like American male to me, or American male. Yeah, they can just be the new American males.
Yeah.
The anti-American males.
Cody throws it back at him by saying it's ironic because Ogogo has a U.S. visa and he also earns money from the U.S. Treasury. He basically starts talking about... he starts talking about how he's from Atlanta and in the 60s there was racism when there was segregation there, but now his wife's about to give birth to a beautiful mixed child. That's a good message. Not going to knock that. Makes sense. Don't really know what that has to do with this storyline, though.
Have no idea what it has to do with Anthony Ogogo.
Yeah, Anthony Ogogo, no idea. Anthony Ogogo is also a person of color, so sure.
Yeah, I was lost during this promo.
Cody goes on basically saying he doesn't want his child to shun either identity, black or white, and he wants her to know that Cody didn't just lay down under someone else's flag, because obviously last week Anthony Ogogo put Cody under the UK flag. The match is going to happen at Double or Nothing, but for one night only. It's not going to be the American Nightmare. It's going to be the American Dream, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. And that's where he was trying to go with this promo, but it was very long-winded, and he took several detours to get to it.
All he needed to do was basically say, you disrespected me last week. I'm American.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was the American Dream. At Double or Nothing, right. I'm going to be the American Dream. Could have done that. Could have cut out everything about America.
A bunch of hoops, yeah.
He could have cut out the stuff about like America being a place of empathy, the random like tangent on racism.
Yeah.
It made no sense for this feud, and it really has nothing to do with anything Anthony Ogogo has done. So very confusing.
I would go a step further with it, because he also he started off talking about like, oh, you know, America, like you might say like we're divided, but like you might have different opinion. You can talk bad about America's antiquated two-party system.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, oh, that's good. Somebody pointing out that the two-party system sucks, and then he's like, or how weird the election results were from this year, and I was like, all right, well now you're just sounding like a QAnon supporter saying
that's not what he said.
What did he say?
He said, or the election from last year. He never said the weird election results.
He 100% said that you can disagree about the election.
Okay, but that's not. He didn't say weird election results.
Which would infer the election results.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like people disagree about the election results every year that there's an election. That's not like a new thing. When Obama won, people were disagreeing about the election.
Nobody
results.
was saying Obama lost or he stole the election.
No, but people were still in disagreement about
marching and threatening to murder politicians.
Okay, I understand where you're going. I don't think that was what he was trying to say. I don't think this was Cody Rhodes standing in agreement with QAnon and white supremacists.
No, but the way he said it, saying you can disagree about the election, which would refer about the results, that would, yes, 100% it sounds like a QAnon thing.
Again, the fact that he didn't say election results and just said the election, by definition, yes, people disagree about the election. Whether it's who you voted for or literally anything. It's not like Cody came out here and said, Sleepy Joe, he stole the election. Donald Trump all the way, baby. MAGA 2024.
He should have said that.
He should, like I said, he should have worded it different because it just comes off as...
I didn't get that at all, so I don't... But, I mean, I guess if you took it that way, then sure. Then I can see where you would want it to be rephrased differently. But regardless, the promo was all over the place, and it just made no sense for what this feud is, and...
Yeah, it was a bit unnecessary.
I'm going ahead and nominating it for Boomer of the Week.
Yeah, at times he sounded like a total boomer.
Yeah, this I have no idea what was going for.
At some points, he did not make me want to root for him. Like
it also gave me like big like white savior vibes, where he was basically saying like, you know, there's racism in America, but I'm a white man. I married a black woman. We're having a child. Yeah. If I can do it, there's no racism here. So
that was kind of cringe.
So I'm going Boomer of the Week for Cody. Ryan, do you have an objection?
There was something else I pointed out saying that
it was Jim Ross talking about kissing your sister.
Yeah, the kissing that you don't want a kissing your sister result. Which
I want to give it to Cody more.
Yeah, I'll give it to Cody.
I'd rather kiss my sister than be a boomer. Wait.
It's very rare that Cody's going to make this for like his promos on TV. So
hey man, speaking of Boomer of the Week, I believe that gives Cody Rhodes that would give him his second Boomer.
Yeah,
for the year.
I forgot I gave it to him earlier this year for his the Snoop Dogg theme song.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
cool.
that's
He is
fine.
now tied
Damn
for
bad.
second place.
Who's he tied with?
So JR is still in first with 3. Hulk Hogan for both nights of Mania has 2. Matt Stryker has 2.
Okay.
Cody now has 2, and all of AEW's production has 2.
Okay.
Love
I'll,
that.
yeah, I'll take it. Anywho, so there's your boomer of the week for this week, everybody. We officially gave it to so whoever, Matt Stryker's free to say some wild shit tomorrow at Impact.
Yeah. Hey, man, I just have to say, because I think I pointed out on the Impact thing last week that apparently I'm, like, in the, like, vast minority of people. Me and Angela are in the vast minority of people about Stryker's commentary. Because I see a lot of people talking about how Stryker and D'Lo are, like, really good commentators, and that they don't speak over the action, and that there's not too much going on, and they
I would
actually
say-
talk about the matches compared to other commentary teams. And
I would say it depends on your preference. Stryker less, but I don't mind D'Lo. I can deal with D'Lo more than I can Stryker. I think if D'Lo had a better partner, he'd be better suited. But I will say, well, I just
D'Lo
want to say
says some real weird stuff, and also he has zero enthusiasm about anything.
hey man, I'll take him over Josh Matthews any day. And Madison
fair.
for that point. But for Stryker, in regards to him, as somebody who watched Lucha Underground, Stryker and Vampiro was genuinely a very good commentary team. So
Yeah.
Matt Stryker can be a good commentator. It's just a matter of currently in Impact, not so much. So I'm with you guys on that. I don't really like him either.
Yeah, I was gonna say Matt Stryker, from the episodes of Lucha Underground that I have watched, I thoroughly enjoyed him in Vampiro. It's just he says some stuff that doesn't need to be said, like him freaking out about a goddamn 6-man match that had no title implications, and claiming that Chris Bay has finally won the big one in a goddamn tag match. Even though he has won actual gold in Impact.
I see no issue with that. Anyway, moving on, we have our next title match on the show. The AEW World Tag titles are on the line. It's the Young Bucks defending against SCU after they won the Fatal 4-Way Eliminator last week, and this officially meant that if SCU lost this match, they would no longer be a tag team together. And I think going into this, mostly everybody figured that they were losing this one. And to those people who did, in fact, pick them to lose, you would be correct. SCU did not win the tag titles. But what we did get was a absolutely fantastic tag team title match. This was everything you would want from this. I think my biggest complaint is that they didn't build this up more. This could have been something that they built to for like weeks on Dynamite. Obviously they've been building towards this for a while on like Dark and stuff, but getting like some promos on like Dynamite ahead of this for the past 2 weeks would have been great. But the match itself, they went all out here. And since I would probably assume this is Christopher Daniels' last title match in AEW, makes sense why. Because I would assume he'll be retiring pretty soon and just moving into a backstage role full time. But my God, Christopher Daniels gave it all this match. This man, if you didn't have enough blood last week, we got some more for you this week. We have some leftovers from Blood and Guts. Pretty early on in this match, Daniels got sent into the ring post and just came up gushing blood everywhere, looking like one of FTR from last week during the cage match. And that ended up actually playing into the story later on when he went for BME, the best moonsault ever, and he slipped on the ropes, which was, I think it was very clearly a botch, but commentary saved it, and again, it made sense. He was literally dripping from head to toe in blood that he slipped, but he ended up hitting it on his second try, but it was a 2 count. I thought that was a really, really good spot. Kaz hit a Styles Clash for a huge reaction in the middle of the match, which was really good. Plenty of near falls throughout, and unfortunately, things kind of got a bit, not so great for SCU at the end when Brandon Cutler sent in whatever the spray is. Does anybody know what it is?
It's like freezing spray to help, you not have pain for injuries.
Gotcha. Anyway, Cutler's...
Which, according to Don Callis, they brought in to try to help Christopher Daniels.
That was a very good line by Don Callis, as they...
Yes.
I believe Matt sprayed Daniels in the face with it, and as Ryan said, Don covered for it, saying that it was just trying to stop the bleeding, which I thought was actually really funny. He sprayed him, and he spiked him with the can in the head. That got a 2 count, and eventually Nick got in. They hit the BTE trigger, and Kaz failed to break it up. The Young Bucks retain. SCU are no more.
Yeah.
What Ryan? I've got a... Yeah, I was interested. I thought it was interesting that they talked about their past, and apparently they'd only had 12 matches against each other, but have been in 40 matches total, which I thought that was an interesting thing.
Well, I mean, you have to remember like times they've tagged together.
Yeah, it just shows how many multi-man matches they were a part of.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good storytelling, and how Excalibur pointed out that their records against each other is 6-6, so this was quite literally the definition of a grudge match or a rubber match, which 100% yes, that is what that would be. Has one team definitively in the have a better record than the other. I also thought that Kaz looked great in here, like he normally does. I'm really excited for a Kaz singles run. They kept on saying that SCU is one of the greatest groupings of all time. No, I think that I would not personally say that SCU, Kazarian, and Daniels are one of the greatest tag teams in all of wrestling history. Maybe that's just me not being a TNA guy for that long.
I feel like that's going to be a hot take for a lot of people.
But of all time, there's like how big of a list of all-time tag teams would you have? Because I can think of at least 10 better teams than Kaz and Kazarian. I would
also like you to take a second to just sit down with what you just said and realize this is AEW. It's an AEW team, and it's their last match ever together, and they're two legends of the independent wrestling scene. Did you want Excalibur to just be like, just a random team, this is their last match, they're going to break up? Like, he should hype them up, saying, like, this is one of the greatest tag teams that we've ever had, and you're watching their last match together. It adds more drama.
You could have done it in a different way. Be like, this is one of the more historic teams. They've held titles in so many different companies.
This is the definition of nitpicking.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. Like, if you're calling a team one of the greatest teams of all time in wrestling, not in this company, not on the indies.
I think a lot of people who don't just watch WWE and watch independent wrestling have watched TNA for years, have watched Ring of Honor, and have watched AEW. I think a lot of people would refer to Kaz and Daniels as two of the best wrestlers, specifically Daniels for the career he's had, for how long he's gone.
Right, but your singles career is irrelevant in a tag team.
I'm not just saying that. I'm saying their tag team career as well. They've had a very historied career across several promotions, and that's not something that a bunch of teams can say. They've carried tag divisions in multiple companies.
Well,
I feel like
I guess I'm just wrong.
I feel like if you were like a historic tag team, you would have to be like one of the best, right?
Yeah, like you don't just refer to like any random team as historic. You'd have to be good. Like, you don't just say, like, if the American Males came back for a random tag match in AEW, I don't think they would refer to them as just like this historic team. They would probably say this is a team that had a history in WCW, or a forgotten team in WCW history. They didn't do much. They won tag titles in WCW, but they weren't notable besides their theme song. So I have no issue with this.
Hey man, I think Buff Bagwell 100% is a notable person, had a notable career.
You guys my favorite wrestler.
Yeah. Anyway, I have no issue with this. It's sad to see Kaz and Daniels part ways, but obviously it had to happen. And I'm excited for Kaz to probably become a big heel in the mid card.
Yeah, I think the other thing that throws me off is that like SCU hasn't been like a thing for at that long. Like as a group, it's been like the Addiction or just Kaz and Kazarian. So like every time I hear SCU, like I just throw in Scorpio in there, and it's very weird that Scorpio, like at the last 2 months or so, Scorpio hasn't been associated with them. So
I think
like
it's been longer than that, to be honest.
yeah, it's just very weird that they've like how they executed the ending of SCU. In my opinion, I think it was a
That's
perfect
fair.
team to lose to, but like to have Scorpio leave very unceremoniously, like he didn't turn on them. He just was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna start acting kind of heelish on commentary on Dark and on random Dynamite shows, and then I'm gonna lose to Darby and turn heel, and befriend Ethan Page." Definitely one of the weirder things, and like they like even the build up to this match, like they kept on highlighting Scorpio Sky as like one of the big members and like one of the big guys in this whole feud, even though he had nothing to do with the feud in the end, which I thought was very weird.
I guess I didn't really have an issue with how they got rid of it, Scorpio, since they clearly knew that they were going to be ending SCU. It made sense that Scorpio wasn't in the group for that to happen, because it'd be more dramatic for it to just be Kaz and Daniels, who've been together for decades now.
Yeah.
So, and again, Scorpio's doing his thing with Ethan Page, and I think they just wanted to change gears. So, it's whatever. Anywho, after the match, we see Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston backstage in the Elite's dressing room. And this began something that happened twice on this show, where we had some very bizarre audio from the cameras backstage.
It was only in that room.
It was only in that. It was the 2 times we went back to that room.
I thought that was my. I just thought
No,
that was my TV.
no. Yeah, the audio was like very like muffled and like staticky, I guess.
I thought it was basically Impact Rebellion production all of a sudden.
I think they
where we
recorded
had like
that
very
bit.
echoey stuff.
I think they recorded that bit on like iPhone video.
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell that was. That was something. Anywho, Moxley and Eddie Kingston just basically trash everything in the room, and then that was that. When we came back, they showed us what happened during commercial break, where Daniels and Kazarian hugged in the ring for their send-off. Nice. And then we had Christian Cage backstage, where he was talking about his issues with Taz. He basically he paid attention to the situation with Ricky Starks, which the past couple days, was it yesterday or the day before, that we found out that Ricky Starks has a fractured neck, so he's going to be out for a couple months. So unfortunately, we will not be getting Ricky Starks versus Christian anytime soon. I was looking forward to that, but that won't be happening for some time.
Yeah.
And yeah, Christian officially declared for the Casino Battle Royal, which he notes the winner gets a title shot for the world title anytime they want. And he says he is going to be in the Battle Royal, and he's going to win it. He also said that he has an open contract next week for a match on Dynamite, and he wants it to be against any one of Taz's guys, but he doesn't want Taz out there. And then Matt Sydal comes in and says it's not going to be any of Team Taz, it's going to be me. And Christian got a nice line in there about Sydal's slip and fall botch last year when he debuted in the Casino Battle Royal. So next week we're getting Matt Sydal versus Christian Cage.
Should be very good.
I'm not going to complain about that. After this, we had our number 1 contenders match for the AEW World Championship. It was Orange Cassidy versus Pac in a rematch from Revolution last year. This was as good as you would expect. We already know that these two had like very good chemistry from that match, and it was more of the same for that. The unfortunate part was later on in the match, Pac nailed Orange Cassidy with a Liger bomb, and Cassidy came down on his head like really like badly, and you could immediately see that he was like kind of out of it, and he kept just like shaking his head and rubbing at it. Aubrey spent some time talking to him, and eventually he rolled to the ring, and we came back from commercial. and Orange Cassidy was still gone on the outside, and then Don Callis and Kenny Omega came out, and we got our finish here, which was basically with Cassidy still down, Kenny came in from behind and nailed Pac with the AEW Championship, and we got a draw with a double countout, basically, where neither of them could get up. And this was very clearly, as has been reported now, was an audible call because of Orange Cassidy possibly getting concussed or just knocked silly. I think it shows that they had an idea like on hand, and I feel like they worked fast on their feet to come up with something to keep the finish the same. So, I mean, props to that for being light on their feet. All I gotta say is I hope Orange Cassidy recovers quickly. Speedy recovery. I can't imagine that concussions or even just like a ringer is very fun. So hopefully he gets better soon. And we officially did find out right after this that our main event is now a triple threat for Double or Nothing. It's Omega versus Pac versus Orange Cassidy for the World Championship.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it's amazing. Subject to change if he doesn't recover from the head injury.
Well, yeah, I mean, card's always subject to change. I saw Fightful already put out a report that apparently, in whatever testing he went through already, it does not appear he has a concussion. So that's good. But I believe we also got a report about Ricky Starks not being injured on the spot that he got injured, yes. And then we found out he had a fractured neck. So I'd say give it another week or two. But again, worst case scenario, they have to pull Orange Cassidy because of the concussion, and he'll get a title shot eventually. But he still has, it's 2-3 weeks away?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so, but yeah, speedy recovery, and I hope that's what Orange Cassidy has. So, but the match itself here, again, as expected, very good until the Liger Bomb.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the triple threat if we are going to get it?
I don't know who you'd pin. I'd assume you pin Cassidy, but at the same time, for some reason, it feels like they don't like having Cassidy lose matches. So I don't know if you do that. I just feel like Pac should be a little bit protected, just because I really think that Pac needs something to do, and he'd be a good summer feud for whatever his name is, Kenny Omega. Yeah.
Joey?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
How do you feel about the triple threat?
Oh, I think it should be absolutely great, honestly. Obviously, I don't think Kenny's going to lose. But it's going to be rough to, who takes the pinfall. But it would probably be Orange Cassidy to take the pinfall. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I suspected that this was going to be the main event. I also didn't expect it was going to be a triple threat. I thought it was 100% going to be Omega versus Cassidy, which I thought was going to be an interesting choice since it's their first show back with fans. And if it's the main event, you'd be sending people home with a big heel win with Kenny beating Orange Cassidy, which seemed questionable. But obviously we got the announcement tonight, which we'll talk about shortly, that we are getting Stadium Stampede 2, and I do expect the Inner Circle to win that match. So I think that you can have Kenny win and pin Orange Cassidy, and then in the main event you'll have the faces probably win that match for a big celebration to end the show.
Yeah.
So I think it's fine. After this, we got to see the Elite make their way back to their locker room and basically throwing a tantrum.
With the awful audio.
With the awful audio once again. The Young Bucks challenged the Varsity Blondes to come step in the ring with them next week. And that eventually did become a title match, as we found out. And then they set up a match at Double or Nothing with Kingston and Moxley. As of now, the AEW World Tag Titles are not on the line. So as of now, it's just a grudge match, but that could, of course, change.
I think part of the reason is that to
next
play
week,
on the whole thing of, they might not win the match. Which, hey man, I'd be totally fine with the Varsity Blondes coming up with a huge upset win over the Young Bucks. Because I personally don't think that Moxley and Kingston need the tag titles. And if Moxley does end up leaving soon for him and Renee's child, which is due, like, basically, I think it's due in June, based off of months. Yeah. I just don't see him having the title there. And you can have, like, a non-title feud for that at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty fair point.
Plus, it also can capitalize on, I feel like everybody right now who has watched, like, Dark Side of the Ring is probably in the Brian Pillman Jr. boat right now. And you can capitalize on that as well. Give him a huge upset win.
Fair point. Backstage in the Dark Order lair, they're all hanging out, and they have Hangman back, and John Silver's also there. Welcome back to John Silver on Dynamite. They found him. They indeed did. The Dark Order basically pledged to get Page back on top, and he says it was bound to happen. He was the number one contender, and he had a target on his back, and it took 3.5 guys to help Brian Cage beat him. And if he was the kind of guy he thinks Brian Cage is, he thinks he wouldn't be very satisfied with that victory. And basically, this was a challenge for Double or Nothing with Brian Cage versus Page. So Page versus Cage once again, but on pay-per-view. Not going to complain about that. I thought their match last week was pretty good.
Hey man, I'm just glad that Page said that he wanted to be fair one-on-one. And for Cage to leave Taz for the match. And they've already advertised that Taz is going to be there, so.
To be fair, Brian Cage is a heel, and Taz is a heel, so they didn't really need to listen to that. Oh,
no,
okay.
They needed to.
Anyway, after this, we get the Coronation for the Pinnacle. They come out. They're flanked by a bunch of random girls. They're all looking very fly in their suits. Wardlow's conversing, I should say, not conversing. I don't think that's a word. Conversing with the ladies. I'm glad handsome Wardlow's getting some action. Most handsome man in AEW. He gets the boys and the girls.
It's true.
Love it.
MJF has a crown on, and he notes that we can all call him the greatest of all time now after last week, and that everybody should bow to him and the rest of the Pinnacle. He takes credit for AEW being, for the first time ever, number one on cable last week. And he notes that they broke a record on TSN in Canada as well. And he gives all the credit to the Canadian legend himself, Sean Spears. God. Canadian God, Sean Spears. What a time to be alive.
I love that, dude.
Sean Spears.
Yeah. Eat your words, haters.
When talking about the requested rematch from the Inner Circle, he says no, and then Tully Blanchard gets on the mic.
Okay.
And this man lost his goddamn mind. Tully was screaming and shouting like a senile old man, and I loved every second of it.
This was awful.
I disagree. What was bad about him yelling?
Oh, it was so annoying to listen to.
I didn't have an issue with Tully yelling. I'm not going to complain about somebody yelling. It's not
also,
like I'm
he was he struggled to explain why he got them watches, and the story about why he got watches. He said at least 3 times that you're going to look at this watch. You're going to look at this piece of wrist jewelry, and you're going to remember. And then he'd go on to something else, and he never said what you'd remember, and then he finally, at the end, he's like, you're going to remember that you won that match last Wednesday.
I thought it was enjoyable. I'm not going to complain about Tully being Tully. Compared to the Cody Rhodes promo, this was beautiful. Eventually, Tully gets cut off by honking, and we see Sammy Guevara, Ortiz, and Jake Hager pull up in their a golf cart with a little like attachment to the back, which is just a sign, a billboard, a mini billboard basically, for a little bit of the bubbly.
And you can also see Chris Jericho like moving around in the back.
Yeah.
And
Only on
also
one of the
Sammy
camera
has
angles.
Yeah, and Sammy has some sort of gun.
There's
in
a
his
gun.
hand.
Yeah, there's a gun mounted to the thing, and the whole little bit of the bubbly, I think, was very clear to infer what was happening here. MJF gets on the mic and tells them to drive off because Jericho's never showing his face on Dynamite again. And then Jericho starts talking on the mic. And then he stands up in the back of the little cart that he's in. He has a brace, and he asks for a rematch. MJF says no, and Chris asks him to verify once again. MJF says no, and then Chris orders Sammy to get him, and Sammy rains down with the bubbly, covering and spraying all of the Pinnacle, which, Cash Wheeler, his style was good. This man wore white pants. You could see right through that man's pants the entire time. And MJF was also wearing very pastel pink. So, they should have probably worn black if for personal things. Should have worn black for the visual. This was great. This was a great comedic segment. And it worked, and it made sense. And I was glad to see they brought Jericho back this week instead of holding off a little bit longer, because obviously we talked about Blood and Guts last week, and the finish, or not the finish, but the post-match thing with the fall and the camera work, which left a lot to be desired. Would have been pretty goofy if Jericho was written off for another week or so. So glad to see him back here, and as they finish up soaking everybody in the Pinnacle, MJF gets on the mic and he says if Jericho wants a match, he's got it. It's the match they won last year. Stadium Stampede. Stadium Stampede at Double or Nothing. And he says don't celebrate too soon, because if the Inner Circle loses, you have to break up forever. And so we're getting Stadium Stampede 2, Electric Boogaloo, between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle, but with a big stipulation attached to it. And so, yeah, again, as I said before, I think the Inner Circle has to win there. And then you'll probably get MJF and Jericho at All Out or something.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have a sit-down interview with Jim Ross and Britt Baker. Pretty good stuff. Britt Baker's always a delight to listen to, and Jim Ross excels with the sit-down segments compared to his commentary. Basically just continuing to build for the women's title match at Double or Nothing. We also got footage from a Forbes photo shoot that they were doing at Daly's place, and they did an angle where Sheeta came out and Britt and her got into a big brawl and had to be held apart. So a nice little addition to the story. We got Thunder Rosa versus some jobber. This was as quick as could be. After the match, Thunder Rosa stares into the camera a bunch and starts shouting about wanting it's her time and she wants Serena Deeb. And we did get the announcement that next week Serena Deeb will be defending the NWA Women's Championship against Red Velvet. So Serena is back from injury, which you love to see.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is it Red Velvet?
Yes.
It's Red Velvet. Red Velvet has the title shot next week. I'm assuming they're probably going to do Thunder. They're probably going to do Thunder.
I thought I saw the graphic of Thunder Rosa.
It's Red
Am I
Velvet.
tripping? Oh.
Yeah, no, right. Thunder Rosa. So Thunder Rosa is the number one contender in NWA, but it's AEW.
I think it's they're gonna do that at the pay-per-view. I think
at Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
they could do it on NWA TV. I hope not.
I was gonna say it depends on next week's NWA show.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's the worst stipulation of all time, and it's not gonna happen. Awful. For those unaware, they're doing a stipulation for Camille versus Thunder Rosa, where if Thunder Rosa loses, she can never wrestle for another company.
And also that she loses her number one contendership.
Makes absolutely goddamn no sense.
So she would be part of NWA for the rest of her life.
Yeah, basically. She would, and the
she has to
promotion
retire.
And the promotion that she owns, Mission Pro, she could never wrestle for that either.
Yeah.
Facts.
So, yeah, good job, NWA. But yeah, I would assume they're probably going to do Thunder Rosa versus Serena at the pay-per-view. And again, I hope it's on that, because if it's not on Double or Nothing and it's on NWA Power or something, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a backstage promo with Jade, basically, and this highlighted the return of Mark Sterling on AEW Dark Elevation, where he offered his businesses, his expertise in contracts to Jade, saying how he made MJF the highest paid athlete in AEW, and he can do the same for Jade. But basically, she said she's her own woman, and she's going to make the decision when she's ready if she wants it. And so, yeah, and as always, she's that bitch. So,
Do you have any idea where this is leading to?
no
I
fucking
haven't
clue.
listened
I
to it.
have no fucking clue who this is going to be. I don't even... They're building it up that it's going to be somebody. Me and Joey, when this first happened, I think we both agreed on the podcast that Vicky Guerrero made the most sense, but that we didn't think it was going to happen because she's with Nyla.
Yeah.
I don't really see them breaking them up randomly.
Yeah.
So I have no idea who you would bring in to manage Jade. Nobody comes to mind, really.
So, okay, so I know that Joey sometimes likes MLW, but they just lost their biggest manager, Selena De La Renta. She's announced that she is no longer part of MLW and is officially a free agent.
Basically, if we're getting
so-
technical, they basically killed her off.
Yeah. So, but she's been posting on Instagram and Twitter and stuff saying, where am I going next? So that would make sense, I feel like. She's a good heel manager.
I think she's going to end up in WWE, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I feel like it depends if you go, like, about the amount of freedom they'd give her. Because MLW gave her a shit ton of freedom. She was their executive producer. She produced a bunch of matches and full cards as well. So if she doesn't feel like she's going to get that freedom in WWE, maybe you don't go there, but who knows?
Unless they just throw a bunch of money at her.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, like $2.
But I agree. If Selena came to AEW, I think she would make a good manager for Jade.
Yeah.
But time will tell. I still like my idea of Jake Roberts splitting with Lance Archer and us getting the Snake and Jade, the Jade Snake. Ooh,
Yeah,
I like that.
that'd be a
Jaded
very, that'd be an odd pairing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how
It'd be an odd pairing. Odd pairings can work, buddy.
You just want that to happen so he can, like, put his head and arms around Jade and
No,
she flips the fuck out on him.
I don't think I want that. I think I'd be pretty uncomfortable watching that. I think I just
I
want...
mean, I was uncomfortable watching him do that to Archer as Archer was talking.
I just think that Jake could offer some great expertise to her, and he would be a great influence on her career.
Yeah, and he can show her how to sweat.
That's
Oh,
true.
boy.
Because we do know that in terms of like the sweatiest men in AEW, it goes like
Them
Alex
top.
Marvez at number 1, Jake the Snake at number 2, and probably Chris Jericho at number 3, because Jericho gets gassed pretty easily.
Yeah, wait till the
Yeah.
summer
Oh God.
for Jake.
Hey, man,
Hope he
at least-
dresses light.
Whoa, they're going back to, Jake. Jake should be fine. They're going to be going back on the road. They'll be inside. You can get that
some
AC.
Yeah,
We can probably get some more
sure.
Jake the Snake, appearances because he'll be
Yeah.
inside and not dying of heat.
Do you think we'll get him like in his ring gear?
I wish.
Please.
Oh.
Anyway, after this, we get a decently long video package from Darby Allin, with him revisiting his childhood home, right, Ryan?
Yeah, he says that he grew up on the outskirts of Seattle, Washington, and he likes to just come back here every so often to remind himself about where he's come from, and that it looks like hell, but it's home to him, and it shows him that he can handle anything. And then he just kind of runs down Miro as being underwhelming, which would set up the beginning of their encounter.
Yeah. So that we got the video package was probably like 2-3 minutes. It was a pretty lengthy one.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was very weird.
yeah, you talked about that to me. If you want to share why you thought it was weird, go ahead.
Yeah, so I thought it was weird that they were like highlighting how Darby has overcome adversity and overcome like a bunch of different challenges, and it just feels very weird to have that thrown up together right before he would lose. And Pat was like, "Oh, well, they have these they had a video package when Cody lost to Brody," and I was like, it's not the same. They had a video package. It wasn't Cody like being like, I'm an underdog and I've overcome so much in my life and I've been beaten up by people and all this stuff. Yeah, it was very. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it added some intrigue to the match in terms of who was going to win.
Yeah.
And then we got the match, Darby Allin versus Miro, except we didn't get the match for a little bit because as soon as Darby Allin basically got out there, Miro attacked him. He kept demanding that the bell be rung, but eventually they went to the floor. Miro just absolutely murdered him. He had a huge German suplex over the barricade. Eventually he got back in the ring, and we did eventually get a bell after Darby kind of got to his feet a little bit. But
Darby also got Enzo'd, where he just got slammed into
the ropes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna knock him unconscious because of how much force he was throwing into it.
Darby just is like immortal at this point.
Yeah.
As soon as the bell rings, Darby does get up and walks right into a Machka kick from Rusev for a near fall straight off the bat. Miro thinks he won, but he did not. And this for a while, it does basically just become the Miro show where he dominates. Darby does get random bits and pieces of offense, like one of his big suicide dives, a really good one. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, this was just Miro absolutely killing him. Darby eventually got a coffin drop, but Miro caught him and dropped him right into a German suplex, with Darby then countered and landed on. We also did see in the crowd Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. They were just chilling, having a nice little chat.
Yeah, lurking once again.
Lurking. I was expecting them to get more involved in this match. So I mean, I guess that's nice that didn't really happen. Like it wasn't. I was kind of expecting the finish of this to come into play because of them. I'm glad we got like a straight up finish to this.
Yeah,
but I guess you should say they panned to the crowd a lot during the show.
At the beginning of the show, we forgot to mention, but for the IWGP US title, Rocky Romero they panned to, and they also showed Lance Archer watching. I don't think they're going to do anything with Lance. I think it was more or less.
We know.
Yeah, I think showing him there was just to highlight that he has a history with Moxley in the title.
And in Japan.
But it was nice to see Rocky Romero there. Anywho, we had like two like really aggressive, fast-paced stunners from Darby to try and keep Miro down. That didn't happen. He got him into a submission. Miro got to the ropes. I'm trying to think. One time when they went to the floor, Miro just like got him up on his shoulders and just slammed him into the back of the stage. That was a nice spot. Not gonna lie. Mm-hmm. Back in the ring, Darby went for a couple of roll-ups, nothing, and then he hit the code red for a genuine like good near fall. And eventually, Miro got him with the game over. And as Ryan noted while we were watching, it was the variant that Rusev in WWE did to some of the smaller guys like Kalisto.
Yes.
And just pulled him all the way back and he also laid back on it. And Darby Allin officially loses. Miro is the new TNT champion.
Yeah, he didn't tap. It was just ref stoppage, which saves Darby. And makes Miro look like a goddamn menace.
Yeah, I mean, Miro beat the shit out of him like before the match even, right? Like it was like pretty much Darby just didn't have a chance at some points. But this is the Miro that we love to see. Me and Pat, I feel like me and you, Pat, like when we were watching when Miro was part of like Kip and
Penelope,
feuding against the best friend stuff. We kept on saying, this is like the worst thing going on right now in AEW, and this is awful. And now I feel like we're just so past that. And there was a point where like I felt like we weren't going to get past that.
Yeah,
And
it felt like it was
really
never ending.
slow. Yeah, like it was just really like there was like no light at the end of the tunnel. But now look at that.
Yeah, we finally turned a corner.
Patience. Yeah.
Patience
A
indeed.
huge corner because now Miro is once again a champion.
Yeah,
So,
this is 100%. This is the best Miro's looked since probably
This is great.
when he was U.S. champion in WWE when he was on his big dominant run. So
yes, I agree.
you love to see it. I think he's a more well-rounded performer now. We know that he's charismatic. They kind of just let him loose here and let him do his thing, and I thought him and Darby worked really well together. And I think everybody probably is a fan of the title change. I don't think anybody hates Darby Allin. Right. I wouldn't have been mad if Darby had won. I would have been sad. I wouldn't have been mad, though. Darby's great, and I wouldn't have been upset that he's still champ.
Right.
But it was definitely the right call to put it on Miro.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. This would make the first title change this year for AEW, right?
Yeah.
Of any title? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Ryan, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess we should also point out that, so Ethan Page and Scorpio jumped Sting midway through the match, and then they came back out and beat up Sting again at the end of the match.
After.
And who comes to the rescue but the Dark Order? It was great. Stu Grayson almost ate it as he came down the steps, flying down fast.
Dude, he was just excited to see Sting.
Yeah, and John Silver just kind of he didn't run after them. He just sat on the apron looking at Sting.
He was just like, rah.
He's probably so happy that he got to see his favorite man, Sting.
Absolutely.
Facts.
But also, I thought a really good visual in this was just the face paint on Darby falling off and coating the one side of Miro.
Yeah, Darby had some cool face paint too. He didn't have his normal full or side face paint. He did the bottom, his jaw, and then the top of his chest.
Yeah,
which I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
And after that little brawl between, or I guess chase between the Dark Order, Sting, and Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts come out. And it appears that we're going to be heading towards Miro versus Lance Archer for the TNT Championship.
I'm so on board for
That's
this.
going to be great.
That's going to be wild. I would assume Miro wins that, but yeah, I don't know. Lance has kind of just been around, and I feel like everybody's kind of wanted more for Lance. So
yeah, I mean, you could have I guess you could have it go either way. But if they're doing this a double or nothing, that would be a weird way for Miro to lose his undefeated streak. Since they have pointed out that since he's come to AEW, he has not lost a singles match.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't know, but I don't think he's gonna lose. But there's always the possibility.
Yeah.
Anywho, I'd give this show a thumbs up. Outside of the Cody promo, I didn't really have anything too negative to say about it, aside from the production issues with the elite locker room and obviously Orange Cassidy getting injured, but that's not a fault of the show's booking or anything. So I'd give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thumbs up. I thought, every title match delivered.
100%. The title matches were very satisfactory.
Yeah, and that's always good because, we got to see that on free TV. So, pay-per-view quality matches. So it's or as JR would say, restaurant quality matches or picture-in-picture. But, yeah, I'll give it a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'd give it a thumbs up as well. It was a good follow-up to last week's show. And yeah, I think it's interesting where they're going for this because as they've pointed out, the reason they loaded this card, or one of the reasons they loaded this card, was because of the uncertainty of what days Dynamite's going to be on for the rest of the next few months with the NBA playoffs starting up. So they wanted to try to get more people to watch it and then go from there and be okay, well, if we like this, we'll follow it to another day. So So yeah, hopefully they draw good numbers from this because it was a really good show, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I do hope that I would hope that they do a big number just because of what they put together for this show. And yeah.
What you call it? I guess because we didn't address it at the front end, but like the whole report about people in WWE claiming that last week's episode set the entire wrestling business back 30 years.
I was just a dumb thing. I
feel like that would be
WWE
well, no, I was
AEW.
gonna say I think that will. I do think that if people didn't enjoy the ending of that match, or thought it was too bloody, I'd be interested to see how this did against compared to Blood and Guts.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway, next week's show, they announced 4 matches. Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal. The Young Bucks defending the AEW World Tag Titles against the Varsity Blondes. Serena Deeb versus Red Velvet for the NWA Women's World Championship. And Anthony Ogogo will take on Austin Gunn.
Yeah.
Ryan, how excited?
I'm so excited. I would have been more excited if it was Colton. But Colton wanted to dodge a go-go for some reason. Whatever.
Yeah. Hey man, I hope that a go-go squashes Austin. Colton comes in and he gets squashed, and Billy comes in and he's like, "Not my boys. Look how you massacred my boys," and he gets massacred for like a 3rd time in 4 weeks because the Gun Club needs to disappear. I hate every one of them.
Jeez. Have you watched any Colton? Have you watched any of Colton?
They're just annoying. They are annoying individuals. I will be so glad when crowds are back, and as Cody pointed out, they will be around the ring like normal. And you know what that means? No more Gun Club screaming and jumping and being like halfway over the barricade.
They're gonna buy a ticket front row every show, dude.
100%.
Hey man, please no. Nobody needs that.
I'm with Joey. They should definitely do that.
No, come on. People don't actually like the Gun Club.
Hey man, Austin Gunn, love him or hate him, he's at least tried to
hype up the
You know,
crowd. Yeah,
exactly.
Make it seem like there's fans.
It's obnoxious, but so are wrestling fans.
You're not wrong.
Wrestling fans trying to hijack shows or constantly shouting what at people's promos 20 years after Stone Cold Steve Austin retired.
What?
Or CM Punk.
Or CM Punk.
Even though we know he's not showing up.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Austin Gunn doesn't do any of those things. He doesn't just start chanting for CM Punk. So
yeah, because nobody would chant with him.
He's loud enough that it would sound like people are chanting with him. Before we go, I just want to run down the card as of now because we got a bunch of announcements tonight for Double or Nothing. So the card for Double or Nothing currently, as it stands, we have 7 matches. We have the Casino Battle Royal, which is for a future World Championship opportunity. The only person we have announced for it is Christian. I would also probably assume Matt Sydal is going to fall into that as well. We have Britt Baker.
He did say he was going to be part of it.
Oh, okay. So then Matt Sydal too.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That's what prompted the
falling
response.
one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Championship. Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo. The Young Bucks versus Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. Pac versus Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega for the AEW World Championship. And the Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle in a Stadium Stampede match where if the Inner Circle loses, they will break up forever. So that is the pay-per-view as of now. I would assume you're still going to get some more matches. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if they add Thunder Rosa versus Serena after next week. And Lance Archer versus Miro could also be added to that. Or that'll be like the go-home show that Friday or the Fallout show.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think that's everything. So thanks for listening to the show tonight. Be sure to come back tomorrow for Ryan and Angela's Impact Power Hour, where they'll be covering basically the go-home show for Under Siege as they continue on the road towards Slammiversary, right? That's the show?
Nope.
Bound for Glory.
Under Siege.
No, I just said the go-home show for Under Siege, but you're on the road to the bigger show, the actual pay-per-view.
Oh, that would be Against All Odds.
Oh, that's not an Impact Plus show?
Well, it is, but that's where Omega's.
Oh, okay. I
I
thought it was for the paper. Okay, so never mind. So
well,
Against
not
All
his
Odds.
next match. His next match is at Against.
Yeah,
All
his
Odds.
next paper title defense.
His next title match is at Against All Odds. It's on an Impact Plus show.
All right. Well, there you go. And then after that, it's Slammiversary.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Which is in July at some point.
Yeah.
I
I would assume. Well, it's any day after July 14th because that's when the 90-day compete clause is end.
Yeah. And whatchamacallit, most people assume that it's going to be with fans.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's everything. So. Yes, thank you for joining us. Again, join the Impact show tomorrow, and we'll be back next week with our AEW podcast. No coverage of WrestleMania Backlash. Maybe we'll talk about a match or two next week, because I do plan on watching the main event of Cesaro and Roman, because I actually care about that, but I'm not sitting through the rest of that pay-per-view. So, yeah. Yeah, you guys have anything else you want to say?
Make sure to check out Joey's Punishment because...
Oh, yeah, go to our YouTube channel, check it out.
Yeah, and you get to enjoy some fantastic matches, some fantastic TNA quality matches. Not Impact quality matches, TNA quality matches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Big difference between TNA and...
specifically, worth noting, not TNA's X Division.
Yeah.
Right.
The only hint I will give the people, the good people, is that the match I chose is prime 2011 TNA with Immortal running the show.
Oh God.
So, if you know what that means, you know exactly how crazy, how fantastic my match is. Meltzer gave it 3 stars for some reason. It is generally considered one of the worst matches in TNA history because of how long it is and how overbooked it is. So enjoy your 20-minute match, Joey.
Oh God. Oh, that's not gonna be fun.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for joining us, and adios.
Bye.